Thank you for joining us and welcome to our third webinar in our series on the strategies of high net worth families. Today's episode is on how high net worth families pass down their wealth. I'm Matt Cousin from Ellis & Associates Wealth Management, and I'll be moderating our session with William Ellis again here as our presenter. This episode should last about 15 minutes. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box during the session and we can address them in the time allotted at the end. As always, we'll post a recording of this session on our website where you can view it anytime. You can also view our previous webinar episodes on our website in our content library. Our webinar today has 4 sections. The first is a section on tax planning and estate planning. The second is how to prepare the next generation for the business and investments. The third looks at ensuring values are passed down alongside wealth. And the final section is a closer look at family meetings. William, how do we begin the process with a family planning to pass on their legacy?
Well, we start with the end in mind. We begin by discovering what the money's for. What type of life is to be lived today and tomorrow? And what type of legacies are to be provided during your life and after? We determine how much capital is earmarked to provide current and future lifestyle needs. How much capital is earmarked for meaningful interventions in the people and causes that are important to you. The discussion may involve consideration of how prepared the next generation is to care for the assets to be passed down and what needs to be done to get them ready. Of course, individual planning involves setting up wills, trusts, and insurance strategies, as indicated on this slide. These are all very valuable tools to pass assets down in an administratively expedient and tax-efficient manner. However, the more important work to be done for high net worth families is to first sort out purpose. What is the money for, and how best to achieve those objectives? Once this is done, then these wishes can be properly incorporated into the structuring of the assets and a well-documented estate plan.
And how is this process different for business owners?
Well, for business owners, their situation has an added level of complexity. Not only do we have wills, testamentary trust, family trusts, and insurance strategies on an individual level, high net worth families have corporate assets and likely an operating business to consider. This additional level of complexity is generally much more involved than individual planning, and it incorporates such things as estate freezes, second wills, shareholder buy-sell agreements or succession agreements, and insurance strategies. Again, there are extremely clever things that can be done to pass assets between generations tax efficiently, but you don't want the technicians driving the bus.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can have the most well thought out estate plan that is a complete and utter failure if it fractures the family, or if the beneficiaries aren't properly prepared, or if it puts the business at risk. I'm not sure that the challenges that wealth brings are generally appreciated and understood by the general public. In particular, the challenges involved in passing wealth between generations.
We see a quote here, William. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. I think this quote speaks to the fact that high net worth families have additional challenges that families with lesser means don't have to worry about.
And what do we mean by white elephant, and how does this relate to passing down wealth?
Well, the term white elephant finds its origin in the story that the kings of Siam, now known as Thailand, would give a white elephant as a gift to members of the court who were out of favor. And the purpose of this white elephant was to ruin the finances of the courtier, given the exorbitant cost of maintaining that beautiful elephant. So whether you're high net worth or not, the question that needs to be asked is, what is the white elephant in your room? An elephant in a room is impossible to overlook, but we may pretend that the elephant is not there and choose to avoid dealing with the looming big issue. So what is the white elephant in your room? Is there a special needs child who needs care after you're gone? Is there tension between family members, or worse? For families running a business, is the next generation ready to take over the business? Do they want to? Are they the best able to do so? And how do you deal with children not in the business? Obviously, the list goes on, as each family is unique and has its unique challenges.
And William, what exactly is affluenza?
Well, the concern is that affluence brings with it considerable baggage, particularly to the next generation. And of course, the last thing that parents want to do is harm their children. But in high net worth families, as wealth is being created, children in the family are impacted. Or after they have grown up, money has an impact on these grown-up children in a high net worth family. The families we work with generally want their adult children and they want to give them a hand up instead of a handout. And at times, family members have their own personal challenges which require help.
And what are you saying on this slide, William?
Well, if your children are not ready, or if they're not able to handle their finances today, will they be ready tomorrow? And what needs to happen to prevent what we call here the lottery winner syndrome? On a basic level, do your children know the difference between income and capital? Do they understand that you spend the income and leave the capital to grow? Most lottery winners don't know that. They think they have more money than they do. They view a windfall very differently than money they've worked for, and they often spend it irrationally.
And can you take us through the options for succession in a family business?
Well, an awful lot could be said here, but there are essentially three options for a family business. You can pass it on to the next generation, you can bring in managers to manage it, or you can sell it. Those three things. But of course, it's much more complicated than that. And various types of professionals can be brought in to help with each of these issues.
And what is a family meeting like, and what do we mean by the family office approach?
A family meeting is a forum where parents gather their children and perhaps their extended family to discuss their wishes with them. It's all about communication, it's about listening, learning, setting expectations, and preparing for the future, preparing the next generation, listening to the next generation. A family meeting may be a single event, or it may be a more regular process, especially where a family business is involved. At Ellis & Associates, we take a family office approach, meaning we provide a full suite of financial, accounting, legal, estate planning, insurance, and wealth advisory services, drawing on both internal and external experts. Regarding family meetings, at times we or experts in family business issues are called on to facilitate these meetings.
And William, can you give us an example of succession planning gone wrong?
Well, there are many examples, and the estate planning lawyers that we've heard speak on this issue speak of a disproportionate number of estate plans gone wrong. Great on paper, but they don't necessarily result afterwards in what I think the parents were looking for. We're thinking right now, in answers to your question, of a family where, you know, the husband had built up from scratch a business of significant means. We're talking very large numbers, where the adult children in their 50s could not agree as to who would run the business, could not agree what the future of the business should be. And it left the founder of the business in a very difficult position. Should he make the difficult decision and pass the business on to one or other of the sons and risk breaking up the family? The decision, a difficult decision, was because this business was his baby, his lifeblood. He wanted to see it carry on. The decision was made to sell it to a strategic buyer, maximize the value, which he didn't really want to do, but as a result, maintain the family peace.
Can you counter that with a positive example? Maybe, one that is very near and dear to our hearts?
Sure. And I think the last story, I don't know how negative it was. It could have gone very badly. If he had passed on this asset and seen its value diminished as the family implode on itself, it would have been just really a tragic story. And as you know, most businesses do not pass beyond the second generation. They seem to have a limited life. However, in our firm, Richardson GMP, the Richardson from the Richardson GMP name is the Richardson family from Winnipeg, who are now grooming the 6th generation to take over this family business. So this is a business that has approaching 160 years of experience in passing the business down from generation to generation. A tremendous success story where they have formal family governance. They meet annually as an entire family to discuss issues, to bring the next generation up, to talk about values, to talk about the business, and to plant the seeds for maintaining this business well into the future.
Thanks, William. So there's no more questions from the chat, so thank you for joining us today. And if you'd like to discuss today's webinar further, please feel free to contact us at 416-969-3190. Thank you, and I will now end today's session.